All right, quick turnaround here. We just hopped out of the pond. My hair just dried. We had a wild episode
But
for season 3, episode 8. Let's start talking about things.
a lot happened. A lot happened. That's it.
But also, I feel like nothing happened. Okay,
Speak.
so let's start talking about those things. What do we start with? You want to start with young Colton
I think we have to.
popping up on the farm?
Yeah. It tied in everything we talked about and how we questioned how Jacob knew about the potatoes and rye.
Hmm.
They just showed us that whole story in the first 5 minutes.
Yes, 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 yes. While I was watching that, I can't help but wonder, like, what does Elijah know? Like, is he just this like Yoda-like character with just like next level patience and just belief in the future? Or like, what else do you know? Because he welcomed Colton so quickly and so effortlessly and so easy, like, come on in.
Who did
Like
that
an
remind you of?
elf.
Colton.
Right.
Mhm.
And Colton knew all along. We now know that as adult Colton with the kids and and married to Dell, he knew all along. And he's acting the exact same way Elijah did. So we got to assume that Elijah knows.
Okay. To enter another time traveler into the conversation. And then we started to talk about this like casually as we were watching. But like, how did Colton know to suggest? Like, I thought like last week when we like knew like that Colton came back to 1814 and was like saving the world 2 years in advance by making his recommendations. Like, I thought it was just like casual, like, hey, you got good soil for potatoes and barley or whatever it is. You should keep planting those.
Rye.
The way that he said it was so like premonition. It's like, how did you know to tell them? Especially once you knew it was 1814, how did you know to tell them to plant those two crops? Where did that knowledge come from?
Yeah, I just thought it was in the songs that he sang that predicted everything and connected all of them. I never paid attention to any words, but I figured that was it.
I
Like
thought
from the
that too, but they never show us Colton listening to those songs.
Yeah. But they've been talking about
But
that for a while,
they
though.
have, but didn't
Theme of potatoes and rye. Like it was in the last episode. We talked about it last week, didn't we? Where did
yes,
that come from?
didn't Fern tell them the story
Mm.
as a
Oh,
kid?
Okay, so what is she doing? Yeah.
there were so many little mini subtle drops about her in this episode too. So
Hmm.
that would make sense.
Yeah, she once again is the storyteller, tying a bunch of time eras together
Hmm.
And yet we
without
never
being,
see her.
yeah.
Right? I know I'm like her time isn't done, but will we see her again?
We
Okay,
need
because
another jump scare.
Colton did have that little moment where he recapped something. He was like, "Oh, something, 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 something." My grandma said it to me before, like blah 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 blah, and it was like about time traveling. So he like mentioned that early in this episode also. So they're like little like baby Easter eggs with Grandma Fern.
Yeah, even Teen Dell
That too, yeah,
out
that.
on the porch. Like it was almost that flashback was interesting because it showed Dell having an interest for the first time ever in the pond. She was a teen, but and then Colton brushing it off. So it like started to paint that kind of narrative or something of, oh, so it's not Dell being totally disinterested. It's Colton keeping secrets. So that kind of made me feel a little differently about somebody.
Right, we definitely got confirmation. She didn't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of betrayal that came with that, I think. And she was riding that wave throughout the whole episode, which was pretty interesting to see for me at least, because I've been hating on her so much. Um,
Mm.
so it was nice to see that perspective and like seeing her let go a little bit of that story that she's been telling herself in her head that Colton's so perfect. So our relationship was everything. It was so great living in the past, not addressing anything in the future. It felt like not having any respect for Kat. And she did drop a line later at the end of the episode, just jumping around. And she was like, I trust my girls that they're gonna like
Oh,
figure out whatever happens. And that line really, there are a couple like quotes that were in my head now, like just good lines throughout the episode. But that one, I was like, finally, this is great. And this is why I wanted you to just like dive into this pond, not literally, but like so you
emotionally.
could start, yeah, like respecting what's going on in the future, or even having some kind of, I don't know, place in it rather than being so caught up in the past in like this kind of like fairy tale. Not to
Mhm.
finish what she had with Colin, but like, come on, get there. So that was really nice to hear.
Mm, such a good line. Redemption for her for sure. All right, so then we get back to Kat hopping and bopping around, and she's in her office because, surprise, surprise, she still has a job
I
She's
know, I was
running
like,
her.
with all of her
break into
getaways
that.
that she's been having lately. I doubt any issues of the paper have been released in however many months with how much frolicking she's been doing back into the 1800s. But excuse me. Um, but we get another little glimpse at Casey real quick. We see the spelling of Casey's name.
Okay, see.
Weird flex, unexpected flex, I should say. Before we dive into the theory that you've got, Sven, which I know you have something brewing with that whole spelling moment,
There
um,
it is.
the picture. Cat even sees it and is like, oh my gosh, I hope this is far off. Like you are far off from the future. I cannot,
Mhm.
Grandma. That looks like your grandchild with them like next to each other in the picture and everything.
Mhm.
It looks like the
Nope.
kinfolk
Nope.
of early 2000s cat.
Nope. Oh, yeah. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah. And is this another red herring? Did they drop this on us?
They're
For
pushing it so hard.
Obvious. It's Coyle's recording studio. I know you have a good theory that I don't want to take, but I believe it too. That it's not, Casey is not the grandchild of Cat. Because
I
I think
don't think she is. I think I still am theorizing that Casey is the child of Susanna. And the K is for Catherine. She named her after Cat because
Oh,
Catherine, she loves her, blah, blah, blah. So she named her child after Catherine.
what's the C?
So that's why the first thing
Catherine
that when that
Cassandra.
happened, as soon as it happened,
Catherine
I
Coyle.
wrote that down because I thought that's got to be where the name is coming from.
Catherine.
I like that because, yeah, I have seen so many similarities in looks between Casey and Kat throughout this. I'm like, that's not Alice's child. I don't care who she ends up with. No, I refuse to believe it.
I
Um,
still think
even if they do have Max
yeah,
Goodwin's eyes.
in some weird way, she still looks like she could be the child of Susanna and Jacob, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I like linking it to Jacob because that makes sense why KC would look like
I feel
Kat.
like I have to say Casey differently now. It's not Casey,
Uh-huh.
it's Casey.
KC.
And the Sunshine
Uh,
Band, for those of you that remember that group.
um, so yeah, I don't know. Still have theories about that. I guess I'm curious how KC would be Susanna's child, but Casey seems so modern,
It
like
right.
not
That's, I
futuristic,
can't let go of
but
that.
just like they get along in society. I mean, they're kind of awkward the way they pop in and out, but like just working at the newspaper, like that's just a modern person.
It's got to be. I mean, it's so far-fetched to say Cat or Susanna and Jacob. It's easy to say that, but given what we know about the pond, the somewhat rules that we have about it, And given a recent interview I saw with Sadie, who plays Alice, that once again she confirmed as of now they still don't know anybody that can travel into the future.
Huh?
All right, so keeping in line with Casey and the potential or not potential um, father of Casey, Max Goodwin continues to pop up, uninvited, and with a constant lurking energy to him whenever we see him
Yes.
pop up in a scene. Like, why are you sitting on my couch?
Why are you guys here?
Why are
Uh-huh.
you here?
Was
Because we're partners for
I didn't
school.
catch that right away. Was that at Alice's house or at Elliot's house?
Yeah, it
I
looked like Elliot's
It
house.
did look like Elliot's. There is a
But
lot of overlap in their set design between those two homes
Yeah.
right now, and it's hard to keep track of for sure. But it was Dell and Alice's home.
mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
they'll let him in or
I
something.
the whole time I thought it was Elliot's, and I thought, what is this creeper doing there? Like, how did it come
Uh-huh.
about in
That's
Elliot's
that's
home without
creepy.
him there? So,
Yeah,
all right,
that he's saying.
that makes more sense now.
But everything about him in that scene was just so I'll get Mr. Augustine to like switch us because I know that you hate me. No, I don't. You're creepy. Why are you here? Let's
Yeah.
play chess and then I'll like never talk to you again.
Let's
After
play
I
chess.
checkmate you
And
5 times.
what chess piece did he pick up?
The
The
bishop.
bishop.
Bishop. What the heck?
My family just has a thing for bishops or whatever.
No, thing for
Like,
chess.
In theory.
Nice set.
Yeah, my grandma's friend Sam gave it to her for her birthday.
My family's kind of obsessed with chess. My grandma taught me all her best moves.
She did?
My
Thing for
grandmother
bishops.
taught me.
oh yeah, my grandmother taught me. And I was like, Evie would play chess, but that is another thing. Just too much of a mystery. I still don't care about it because the signs are still pointing to what I don't want to happen with
So
the
blatantly obvious though now.
yeah, I don't want it, don't care. She did smile at him softly at one point in the episode, and it made my heart sink a little bit
Well,
because I
they're
was
for sure bonding.
like, no, don't, no. And it was in like response to something like not even cute. I was like, go back to Noah, go call him back.
Can I defend one thing real quick?
Yes, we
A
need
couple
help.
episodes we talked about the Alice Max thing and how it was a red herring and that it's just a misdirect. They're just throwing everything at us. In that same interview, Sadie did hint that they're really big on the misdirects with this. So we may be right. We're getting worked up over Max and nobody wants to see that. We might not. And they might be doing that on purpose.
Yeah,
Get us going.
to make us feel
Then
something.
again, I go, okay, are we going to throw? No, I take it back. Nick has purpose and proved his purpose in this episode. I will be the first one to clearly state that.
Thank you.
But it's like, okay, well, if he's not, then
Right.
like, why add him in the storyline
Right.
and
Yeah.
continue to give him more and more connection? And
Okay.
He's
Quick
there
theory.
for something.
Tell me
Max.
when you guys are ready for a quick theory.
let's hear it.
Okay. So throughout the episode, and from last week, we keep seeing Nick. He wants to see people in the pond. He wants to see jumping in the pond. He keeps asking Elliot about it. We see him later in the episode. He's at the pond when Jacob jumps. He's just lurking in the woods, waiting to see someone.
The whole episode.
What if Nick is already a time traveler because he was the baby in the basket?
You love that theory.
I do love that theory.
Love
But
it.
think about it.
Just because he's adopted.
Well, right, that's part of it, but
What
just,
else?
just this interest in it. The reason why he came back to Port Haven to look for a house was because of the pond and the time travel thing, and all this. And then he's lurking in the woods by the pond. Has he been going back and forth in it?
Well, also that whole first quote, like at the beginning, where he's like, "What is everyone here a time traveler except for us two, right?"
Right.
And Elliot was like, "Yeah, actually, no, I did." And he's like, "Oh, it's just me." Is that foreshadowing?
And what is he
Oh,
always wearing? That sweater and
Sweater.
leather jacket that he wore in the 90s. Is he jumping with that on so he looks in place in the 90s? He doesn't look out of place?
Wait, you don't think he's still time traveling?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's a ruse. I think that's what he was doing at the pond, and he just happened to come across Dell and Jacob jumping in, and he had to, oh, Dell, did you? I saw that, you know. I mean,
I will
remember,
give you
remember, Kalijah, my theories aren't based on what I firmly believe. It's a
just what
theory
could
that
be.
could be.
Getting
So
it
that's
all
kind of
out
where I'm
there.
going with that one. It could be a
I
thing, but
I will give you the fact that so much attention was continues to be put on in this episode, his fascination with the pond,
yeah.
his want to like be connected and be a part of it and all of that stuff. And like, I want to watch it, has this like deep insight that soothes Dell. Like, he's clearly connected to this activity on a level that like I don't think he gets. So I would give you 1 point for the baby theory. And that it's like, okay, but like you did. You were the only one who
And
hasn't traveled yet.
but he
I'll
doesn't
give you
know.
1 point for that.
That's cool. Yeah.
But
Because
I do not think he's going back and forth. He
I
can't
don't
keep that
think
Dude,
he's
secret.
that sweater
returning
and that
travel.
jacket. Come on.
That I think is just
Love
like
that
all the
jacket.
things
His
that like
look.
we showed or like we saw of him and just like how much he's holding on to the past. And it is kind of like a Peter Pan Neverland
It
man.
is. And Alice thought he was holding on to the past too when he gave her the hook back, the fish hook thing.
Well, Elliot did.
Well, yeah, but he even said, unless he was just lying, because he was holding on to it, but he said his mom's found it in a box and gave it to him. So it's not like he had it on him the whole time.
I think
But
those are
maybe.
mementos of like the best time of his life or the most cherished time of his life, and he can't let go of it. And then seeing Alice like brought back to that, he's so magnetized towards it. It was like, I have to be around this. I have to be around this.
And
And it took Elliot to be like, dude,
I think that's why
what is that?
he's
This is
jumping.
weird.
He's going back to the 90s to keep living in that moment.
If
Not in
you
the pond, maybe in his memories and in
Kenny,
his
don't say it.
but he is not stealth enough to like travel and not tell everybody about it.
no,
Well,
nope. I'll give you the baby in the basket theory. It's fun. Why not? I don't think they would have introduced that to us though so long ago in like the trailer or whatever if it was him. Because at that time, why would we have, I don't know, cared?
okay.
But he is not currently time traveling. I think it is totally realistic for one person who doesn't time travel, but was still so affected in life by the pond without knowing what it was. Now,
Mm.
what it is,
That's a good
all of
point.
his friends are so affected. Naturally, you're going to be curious and want to
But
be around.
also, if he was the baby, he's been
Not
affected since
suspicious.
birth.
Yeah.
Right. So when season 10, when episode 10 rolls around and one of the cliffhangers is we see Nick jump or we find out he's a baby in the basket, I want you both to hit me on the phone right then and go, "Oh my God, you were right.
Oh, I'll
You're
say
a
it on
pond
this. I'll
whisperer."
say it. You were right. I was wrong.
I don't think you're wrong.
I'll give you one
I
point.
think there's more to the whole thing.
I will make a whole, announcement to
We
anyone
do a
who
whole pod on the things that we missed and overlooked.
Oh, right.
where
We're gonna have to do a couple
Ben was
season
right.
summary episodes for sure. But one thing I want, we have been getting some good comments from people, and Kelly, you mentioned this in a previous episode. The feedback has been great, the back and forth, the theories,
It's
the questions.
fun.
Hit us up on what you think about this whole Nick thing. I know I'm gonna get shot down pretty hard, but I can take it. So
No
let's hear
harder
it.
than you're getting shot down here. It's all good.
Okay, moving on from Nick. Let's go.
Okay. We get into the whole like Cat and Elliot thing, and we could like have a whole episode about those two
Oh,
with the messiness and the drama. I bursted out laughing, like audible laugh out loud moment when she goes to Elliot to tell him what she's done. And like the premise of this like infidelity in their relationship had me dying when she was like, I was in 1816 and I was with Thomas. And it's like things you never hear couples saying.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Just
There he
like
goes.
background, there he is, our hero.
It was so funny though.
It was another weird conversation for them where I'm just like, why are we even talking about this? Because that thing she was talking about in the last episode, 1816, when he was like, and now so have you. Like when he kissed her,
Mm.
see any issue with that? Like, you don't have to talk about that, in my opinion. Like, and then he didn't even care, Elliot. He did, but they're both so like apathetic at this point. They don't even want this to be happening, but they don't want like the awkwardness of not being together. Like, how do you do
Totally.
that? But they can kind of tell it's not working currently for them.
But then to hear Kat say, I just wish we didn't have to try so hard to make this work. It's like,
Like, how are you trying? Live in the present.
has anyone tried at all?
Right? That's what I
You
thought
guys went from
too.
saucy, rolling around on the counter together, spilling milk on the
Please, the
floors,
milk.
to, oh, I went to 1816,
Mhm.
kissed Thomas, and everything is so hard.
I thought that too. And I was like, what are you guys doing to, yeah, like go to a therapist, counselor, or something. Talk
And then
about
we
it
see
for
her
half an
just like
hour. You'll be fine.
full middle fingers blazing. I'm out. You want to say I run away from my problems? I am sprinting to the past and I will never look back.
That was
Runs into the
amazing.
arms of
So
Thomas.
Okay, I fully admit that I am running away from my problems.
I made a quick note about that. When she had that conversation with Alice in bed, and Alice said, I wish we could just like go to the pond to escape or whatever.
Mhm.
And that look on Kat's face, didn't that look say,
I'm not ready to face another day.
Me neither. At least not in the present.
well, kind of what we talked about? Like, I'm gonna go back forever. Alice, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna do whatever. You're gonna go to some point in time. I'm going back there to live with Thomas because that's what my
Thomas
heart
versus
tells me to
Una.
do.
I
But
think
that look on her face was just like, I'm out. Just like you said.
definitely,
Well, and then
Middle
she
fingers
was the
came
next
up.
morning.
yeah, as like, oh, hey, that's a good idea. Yeah, like let's just go. I don't have to face tomorrow in real time. I
I
can
don't have
just
a job.
I don't have
do
a
it
paper to put out.
there.
I don't
Yeah,
go to school.
right?
I don't have an old editor sending letters to Dell. Oh, did I let that theory out too soon? Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Remind me, that's one of my big ones for the week. So
Oh, say it
Okay.
now.
remember the man who gave the paper to Kat?
Yes.
I think he's sending the letters to Dell because there's a connection with him going to Morocco, just like Evie was going to go to Morocco and her family goes there.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, he said he hit his head or something and lost his wife or something as a reporter in Morocco or in the wars or whatever. It was in Morocco. Why would they pick two cities like that, a world apart from Canada, and pick the same one?
Yeah.
So I think he knows something. And who else uses an old style typewriter but an old reporter? He's, I think, sending those letters to Dell.
So
And
who
what did the
is
letters say? I know your secret.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he was involved with Evie
mm-hmm. You
and
know,
she knows everything, I think.
then I'm gonna give you a round of applause because I remember when this season first started and Evie was like, I'm going to Morocco for the summer. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, sounds great. Can I come too? But
Felt very random.
and you told me you're like, that one dude also went to Morocco and they're linked. And I was like, okay, put a pin in it or whatever, but I don't know what to take from that, but cool. And here we are again. It's like, oh,
I'm
okay.
gonna find it.
I'm curious again. Like, who? Because I don't even have any memories of this person. I was like, was I watching these episodes? Like, did you make this up? So I can't add anything to it. But
Yeah, that's a go back and
Byron. Remember Byron? That's his name.
good
Byron.
old Byron.
Byron Golf,
Byron.
which
Put a picture of him up on the screen. In post.
Bing for the people, for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so moving on.
Kat keeps hopping back and forth. Jacob keeps hopping back and forth. We get three-fourths of the way through the episode and realize that Jacob and Kat have not spoken to each other since he came home.
Right. When he
Some
hugged
Elliot said,
Dell.
like, you're gonna have to face her. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
two haven't spoken
Okay.
yet?
Yeah,
So, like, the running from your problems runs in the family. Noted. Okay.
for
Noted,
sure.
noted, noted.
They haven't spoken since then. Since he gave her that look, and it was just like, what?
So wild.
Yeah.
So the whole family's running back and forth in between different decades, different centuries, all of them. Dell takes it very personally that she is on the what's not like the hidden side of it all, but like is really coming to terms with the fact that Colton had a whole different like world that she knew nothing about and takes it very personally that he never told her, but then is also in the present sitting there and everyone in her family is running away from her. And she lets out the most dramatic one-liner of the whole season.
I will always be the one left behind.
Mm.
Oh, dang. Okay. She's
It was a
feeling
big
it.
one, but thank God for our hero, Nick.
And here comes Nick with his purpose.
Yeah, Callie.
He has purpose. He has
He
purpose. I
does.
see it. I needed to be more patient. I am grateful for Nick.
You know, I had a thought about that. I felt like what he was saying was kind of forced. Again, one of those
Totally.
things. Because it was like, because Elliot had a conversation with her too in the truck. And I thought that one was great, where he was like, I kept Alice a secret for years. Like, you do it for whatever your reason is. But Nick kind of said that same kind of sentiment to get her to the same like thinking of like,
More like from the husband perspective
yeah.
that she can connect to
But
Colton.
I thought it was interesting that they both had a scene with her, which was special, gave Nick more purpose. But yeah, I was surprised. I was weird. I don't know. I was just like, oh, okay. Like, Forsen, if it was Claire. And I was like, so are you time traveling? Maybe that makes me wonder. He's got that perspective already. He doesn't tell Claire about the pond. Ooh, I want
But
that.
also, Dell's probably like, I'm sorry, who's Claire?
She acted like she knew. So, see,
Right?
Sure.
remember, we
He
just get
better
stuck with
know.
these people's lives. So there's all these other times that they're together and talking and carrying on normal lives, eating
Yeah.
dinners, going to the bathroom. We don't see any of that, thank God. But there's so much of their lives we don't see. We don't see Kat putting out newspapers and
Because she
Alex.
There's
doesn't
no
work.
time.
There are no newspapers, Sven.
Right. And I
They
mean,
gave
this isn't
up on
like
her when they had that huge problem, and she like put out a half-released. No, Alice put out a half-released
They
issue.
all
Alice
did
and
it, right?
Elliot.
Elliot had to learn the
The
software or
whole
something.
town gave up on her after that. They're like, and there goes the Port Haven Gazette.
Looks like
Uh-huh.
we're going on the next town over to get our news.
Oh, cat.
Also, another random shout out. The more that we go back and forth between young Colton and old Colton, you have to shout out the casting again.
Again. Spot.
So good.
Mhm.
Like they have to be related.
They're not.
I
The
don't
only
think
two related
so.
are Victor and young
Vic-
Victor.
That is
Yeah.
Father and
so
son.
It's just
wild
cool.
to me.
It's
Yeah.
perfect because he also like the singing is a whole other element of it. It's not like, oh, you have to be an actor that looks like him. You also have to be the singer too that
And have
looks
this
like him.
musicality. All right, so a huge chunk of the episode happens with the whole kit and caboodle, Cat, Jacob, Susanna, Thomas, Elijah. The whole gang's back together in the
Not to
1800s.
forget Cyrus, who I'm pretty sure went to the salon and got a new toupee or something because it was looking really had a lot of life in it. It's all I could think the whole time. Nick MVTT, nice. Oh, it was so colored. I was
Oh,
like, wow. He's trying to look good for Susie. Put up a picture of him, Sven. It was so good. Watch the episode back. You're just gonna laugh the whole time because it's all
I've got it on right here. I'm gonna bring it up.
I can't.
yeah. Because I talk about him like every episode when they had that Lingermore flashback and he was glowing and like kind of hazy, and then like he looks so young, and now he's
What
got
kind of services do they have back then?
right.
Okay, so the whole gang is back hanging out in the 1800s, lurking around, sneaking around, getting in places, getting out of places, escaping the townies with their pitchforks and torches. First of all, how did Kat, Susanna, and Thomas get out of Lingermore and escape the townies and get to Elijah before any of them saw, caught wind, got there first? I know it's a show, but still.
The same way they got in, maybe?
The
Tunnels?
catacombs under Lingermore.
Okay.
That's what I would assume. And then Susanna knows things too, because from living there, like she knew, oh, anything that goes through, Cyrus checks, whatever,
Who
you know,
knows?
she's got the ins and outs, whatever. So
Okay.
let's say
Yeah,
that.
but as soon as Thomas overheard that, remember they showed him kind of fade into the bushes, a la Homer Simpson, just kind of
Uh-huh. Mm,
yeah. So I I just assumed at that moment he ran to the catacombs and got them out, like under the tunnels underneath.
mhm.
I just
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, we're not supposed to think that deep, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay. Moving on. Something I won't move on from is before they escape through the tunnel network, and Cyrus has his temper tantrum about like, okay, I know your secret. You guys aren't new friends. The Switch isn't new to your life.
That's
Baby
when
Girl's
his
been around since
toupee was blowing.
1814. Another iconic one-liner of the episode. I see the love in your eyes that you cannot muster for me, that you have for her. I heard you, Cyrus.
Right?
I see you, girls. We all know that you love each other.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, without a doubt.
And I'm like, does
Just
Thomas
flat
get a
out
little
confirmed
jealous?
it.
Thomas.
And Thomas is like, oh, okay.
She only comes back for Susanna, not me. Here I am waiting 3 months for her return.
Hanging on by a thread, that poor man. He should have left a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So he's
she
just
even
lurking
asked
on the
him, "Why are
beach.
you still here?" Like
Go.
I thought you weren't gonna wait.
Right? And she's
He
like, it's
should
No,
been
I've been
2
sitting on the
days.
beach.
It's
He
only
should've-
been 2 days.
He should have boogied.
It's been 3 months, Catherine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, poor
So yeah,
Thomas. Our guy.
townies come. Kat tries to work her voodoo mama juju witch mama magic on him. Starts commanding people and
command
halting
you.
the townies.
Like, you had your moment in the spotlight last episode. You can't keep doing it,
Your
witch.
eclipse magic is done, baby girl.
And Elijah is so naive. He's like, they're townspeople. It's okay. It's okay. We'll just talk to them. And I was like, do you not see their like pitchforks and fire things and someone just threw a rock in your window?
Again, does that confidence come from the confidence of knowing the future and knowing the past and knowing all the things that
Oh, yeah.
Elijah knows, being a time traveler?
Oh,
She even says it. She even tells Elijah that she knows, what's gonna happen. She knows Cyrus lives at this time. She does bring that up.
And does Elijah also be like, oh yeah, girl, I know, I've been.
Well, yeah, because he's
I've seen
gotta
y'all.
be a traveler too, right? We kind of concluded that or theorized that. So
I
he
have not.
taken whatever Kat says as this got to be true. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? But so as that fire in the house was happening, things got pretty wild. So Jacob starts. Do you have another theory to share?
No, I just want you guys to remember something.
Okay.
Remember the spirit board in Evie's room?
Yeah.
Yes.
And when it talked about the fire and it blew off and it blamed
Blame.
Colton, it wasn't for Rick's crash. He blamed himself for that fire at the Landry farm because he told them what to plant.
Hey, that's a great connection because
So the
yeah,
spirit board was telling the truth.
but who is the spirit?
The board. No, I
That's
don't know.
my question because that all makes a lot of sense because we together right after the episode were like, oh, he blames himself for this because he gave the Landry farm
Indignation.
whatever the advantage planting those crops, and then it disadvantaged the townspeople. Then they all came for him, Elijah. So
Right.
it's Colton's fault. So that made sense. I didn't link it to the fire and the spirit board. So now I'm like, so were we talking to Cassandra? Because that name popped up in my head while I was watching. I was like, hey, remember her? Whatever happened to her? Where'd she go? Was she nothing? But who in that scene would be saying that? I don't think there are hard feelings with any of the ones we're close to, like the squad. It's not like a townsperson they'd be calling in. Like who?
I
Cyrus?
don't know. Maybe it's one of those things that,
It's the
like, who's controlling the pond and how does it
just the
know where to
spirits.
send things? It's got thoughts, right? Same
Okay.
thing with the
Just
spirit
the
board. It just
spirits.
We just
has
don't
the
need to know.
aura out there.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
okay, so that was done real quick. Back to the fire and the Kelly, what you were saying.
I was just I think starting to transition from that. Jacob was in the fire. Kat had to be a hero. And then
But didn't save anyone.
No.
somebody else saved somebody.
Okay, so we've pieced it all together. Colton's wearing the outfit
You know.
that he was wearing when he popped out of the water earlier in the season, and we thought that he had been trying to get back to the day that Rick passed. He was post-funeral,
Which we were right.
feeling all of his feels. The pond took him to the fire day and just he hopped out of the pond, got there, saw the fire, and was like, I gotta get in there.
I think so.
He's a
I
good
mean,
guy like that.
the pond takes him where he needs to go. So he was meant to be there to save Jacob.
Okay.
Whether how he got to that point where he saw the fire and said, "Oh, somebody's in there, let's go," or there's there more that we just didn't see him
Yes.
witnessing what was going on, and
Okay.
then, but that was where he was supposed to be, and so he
Yeah.
saved Jacob's life,
Mm-hmm.
but he feels messed up because he feels he caused the farm to burn down.
Okay, but he's visits that so much. Like when you think about like what we know now and you revisit all the times he's talked about regret or like I did something wrong. Like what if you did something really bad? I thought whatever we were going to find out was going to be way bigger than you told them to plant barley and potatoes because Grandma Fern's been singing about it for decades and you saved somebody.
Right.
Like, what are you regretting?
There still might be something we don't know yet,
Mm-hmm.
or he just thinks that it caused them a lot of hardship. They had to rebuild the farm, everything else. The townspeople wanted to burn it down. They wanted to hurt people. People almost died because of it.
Which is why when he comes out of the pond and runs into Alice and he asks, and she's like, oh, I just came from the farm. And he's like, you came from the farm?
Right. And remember, we didn't know what that meant at the time,
Yes.
and that finally is explained to us. So there's another question off the list.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he was trying to go back to save Rick.
Yeah.
And the pond said Rick was meant to die.
Yeah,
You're
somebody
not
else to say,
supposed to be
baby.
there. You're only allowed to interact with Landry people, Goodwins and Augustines. That's it. But oh no, I
Even
can't say that because
Augustine.
Rick was an Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
No
only allowed to
difference.
interact with Landrys and Goodwins.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Which,
still
of course, Elijah had to go in and save Cyrus like a good Samaritan.
Kat's line. I know that you don't die here, but I will not be the one that saves you today, or whatever.
Yeah, Cat.
It was good. She's just
You know when he dies. You've been traveling.
right.
Right.
She's in
We
her
know.
element.
She knows the town history.
hmm
But
Um,
do you not only the whole people coming onto the farm and just accepting them deal with Elijah and Colton, but just the fact that Elijah went in to save Cyrus, Colton went in to save Jacob. Are they not like the exact same person?
there's a lot of overlap.
The same acceptance of everybody, the same kindness, trying to help everybody, no selflessness.
A self-nominated
In
hero.
them. They just are there. What if Colton is Elijah? Okay, never
That brings a whole. I
mind.
know. I was like, are you trying to say that Elijah's like Colton's dad or something? Because we still don't know about that.
We
But
don't. We don't know
that
about that rule breaker.
he would know though,
Right.
getting there. But yeah, did you like the line when Jacob was like, "Why do I feel like I've met you before?" Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I mean,
you have. Someone I want to talk about a little bit, my favorite, other than Alice. Well, I want to talk about Alice too, but Evie as well. If we're done with the fire scene, because I know we got to keep things
so.
moving. One, when Alice found her laying,
Floating bottoms up.
I was trying to be Lady of Shalott. It's like, you poor thing.
I felt like this was the beginning of her reclusiveness.
Downfall.
Yeah.
It's too early.
It's too early. She lived a whole lifetime
Yeah,
without
that's
her
why it was so
playfulness and
tragic. And
fun.
everybody talks about how bad it was for her and living alone and this and that. I think
I
this is where it
refuse.
starts.
Maybe if you guys would have been her friend, it would have been better because I did realize she lost Rick, then Colton, and now
Mm.
Alice with the betrayal of like, you don't really care about me
I was
because,
gonna say, Alice is the one who breaks her heart.
yeah, Alice is her girl. So, wow, big surprise. Once again, these two.
Also, is the one that like breaks her heart in that scene. And it's like, you have to get it together. It's Dell. It's not you. And like Colton,
Which
like
is,
actions say that, but his words never do, or like not yet. Like Alice
yeah.
is the first one to confirm that like heartbreak that she has in her head and like say it and put it out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Poor thing. So yeah, I love that she keeps popping up in episodes because we didn't know when her time would be up, but I hope they keep talking about her and having little moments for her because
hmm.
as sad as I am, I want to see how it all happens with her.
She's just so fun.
Yeah. So we'll see. Poor girl. But I guess on that note too, I wanted to talk a little bit about Alice, and she finally did the recording of the song.
Oh,
Yes.
So
that
that
was so
connected something.
special.
And when Colton started singing the second one, the song for Dell, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm ready to share this one yet." And the song that it ended up being almost made me cry because it was the one from season one that she plays. And I always love that song, and it was just so sad and cute to see all those things intertwining and connecting finally.
And see the beginning of it.
Did you
Mhm.
guys notice how young Alice looked
In
in
her
that
little
montage?
t-shirt and dress,
Yeah.
she looked like a little baby.
Like, whoa, that's been a big change.
Yeah, but yeah, it was cute. I loved it. Alice and Evie still my faves. Nick takes third.
I was just gonna say, I've got one last one-liner to like tie in with the Nick has this purpose, and gosh, I love Alice when he finally says to her, and she was like, "Well, I've seen what my future's gonna look like, and I don't love it." And
Oh
he goes, "You
yeah.
know what? You Landry ladies are too strong to let that pond rule your lives." And it's like, you're right, Nick.
Yeah, his value was high up in this episode. He helped Elliot too with like go get your girl if you want her.
Loved Cat
Like,
your whole life, man.
yeah. And I don't know if that, I don't know anything with Kat and Elliot, but at least it was like someone weighing in, like, because Elliot has had the same face on for like 3 episodes now, where he's just like, I'm like, stop, go do something, be in this relationship or don't. But like everything that happens, it's just so in the between, like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just gonna see how she treats
Passive.
me. And like it's just getting kind of weird. So thanks, Nick, for giving a little motivation or something. We'll see what happens with that.
All right, Sven, you got any other theories up your sleeve?
No. Wait, yes. No.
My favorite one is the
Oh,
KC. K stands for Catherine.
yeah, not a theory, but a question. I'm glad they brought it back up again because I thought, is this gonna die? The envelope that Casey left for Kat, and Kat even says, Casey, what did you leave for me? What was I supposed to see? So at least they're bringing that back up, and I think we're gonna hopefully see more in the next episode or two about what that was, because that's obviously was important for them to bring it back up and just show us
Yeah.
like an empty envelope. And so I'm
Then
okay
again, like
with that.
seeing like Casey's signature, and it's like, what did you sign off on?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was confused about that. I just like, what is this?
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't
How
know.
old are you?
Yeah, just a child.
Why do you have
Like
legal matters?
the Sam Bishop, like, yeah, that just threw me off so much the other week. I was just like, you're like 17, right? Are you, is it
For what?
is this?
Landry's have just done so much for me in my life. In all 15 years?
What
Yeah.
life?
What life?
Her time traveling life from Susanna and Jacob.
Yeah,
So crazy.
I don't.
Ended, I think, in a good way. It tied up the old Rick funeral clothes coming out of the pond, seeing Alice. Why was he there? We now know why he was there. This is one of those episodes where the story starts off, it kind of plateaus and gets a little bit of a peak going into the season finale. And it's starting to wrap up some things before it drops the new big cliffhanger on us. So it's
Yes.
right there. It's where it needs to be, I think.
Casey, Sam Bishop,
Mm.
Max Goodwin.
Okay,
That's
biggest question marks.
all I'll say. But yeah.
What happened to the Jasper tapes?
Yep. You still want that. I
Those
still want,
need to come up.
when is Dell gonna have her baby? Uh she's gonna have
Guys,
him
we
go
were
back,
so
back home in North Carolina.
convinced that she was having a baby.
We were.
Why? Why were we talking so much about her throwing up and all
She's
that? Like,
puking everywhere left and right.
nuh-uh.
You're trying to figure out whose baby in the basket
I
was.
think they were trying to lead us astray.
Are they real? Yeah. Sometimes I think we're just
Guys,
so
when the
ahead of
Hallmark
things.
critters see this, are they going to be like, these three are the most gullible audience members
Right.
you could ever ask for?
They're
That's what
like,
I'm
thank God for
thinking.
these three because they're helping us push all these theories
Oh my
around. What's up, Jasper? Hey, I want to tell you something. Hallmark, if you're listening, we want some interviews. I want Jasper. I want his story. I want to
Yes,
talk to this man.
yes.
Well, after
Evie and
Carrie.
Alice. That's what I want.
Evie.
Yes. That's my biggest thing. I have to just figure out her story. It's not done yet because Max Goodwin keeps dropping lines about it. So I'll find more out about it. But that's my biggest thing right now, I think, because I'm so sad for her. And it's just been, oh, there she is.
That's
It's just
just
been
so cute.
episodes too.
Wait a minute. What if Byron and Evie ran off to Morocco together?
Ooh,
Whoa.
Met in
maybe
Morocco.
they met in Morocco.
He came home and they had a child together. And that is Lewis Goodwin?
Goodwin.
Lewis?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
But isn't Lewis, well, Lewis is Max's uncle, right? Or is it his dad?
That's
No.
his dad. And then we don't know the other.
Okay. Yeah.
So
But
she has multiple children?
aren't there two boys or something? We've been talking about this, but we never, I don't think I've ever known.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll just see, I guess. I don't know.
TBD.
Yep. Nice. That's a little blurry. There you go.
All right, MVPs of the episode.
Um, Go ahead. I'll get mine on.
Well, okay, Sven, your name, Nick MVTT, I'm assuming. Okay, that's mine too. After we were so excited to get him back, then the last episode he was in, we were like, why are you here? You're ruining your character. This isn't it. You're not here for the jokes. These aren't even funny jokes. And now he's got his value. He did a good job. So he's got, well, theoretically, he's a time traveler. So I guess he can still have most valuable time traveler.
Yeah.
So I also give it to Nick. As you guys know, the listeners don't. I love the show Heartland. It, it centers around the horses and the farm and everything. And that's when I first was introduced to Kerry James and his character Caleb
Oh.
Odell. If you saw the last uh, video we made, I gave a shout out to that character. Last episode, he was corny like that. This episode, he still was a little goofy, but I think they're really pushing his curiosity, this time travel thing. I think there's going to be more to it. But his conversation that he had with Dell, I think we kind of brushed over it. We mentioned it, but brushed over it quickly. When he explained to her why he didn't tell Claire or won't tell Claire about time travel, she finally realized why Colton never told her. And there's
Totally.
of acceptance there.
And was giggling.
Yeah, and there's a moment of, you know what? That's why Colton, he was protecting me this whole time because how would he explain that to me? How would I get on with that information?
Take her in the pond.
And Nick told her how it was for him and not telling Claire about it. And you could tell she just kind of clicked. The light bulb came on. And I think going forward now, we're not going to see her questioning it so much. And when she sees memory of Colton, she's not going to say, "Why didn't you tell me?" I
Yeah.
think now she understands. And
Mhm.
thank
Yeah.
Nick for that.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, yours.
Elijah.
Oh, yeah.
TBD, like same like potential time traveler theory with him. Um, there's something about him. That smooth, effortless confidence. Kendra the disguise is really distracting me. Um, just like he's been old faithful for a couple of episodes now and holding down the fort, always there for Jacob to come home to. He's there to protect Kat. He's keeping an eye on Susanna.
Yeah. I keep wishing that they just throw him in the pond and he can just
Bring him
zap
back. Yeah.
to modern times with everyone because it makes me sad when he's like, Rebecca and I built this house or whatever. And I'm like, Susanna's gone, locked in her attic. Like, what do you do all day? Just like hoe some
What do you
crops?
have?
Like, yeah, it makes me so sad. And like when they visit, I don't know. And then, bring Thomas back too. Bring the whole gang.
Whole gang. Dell
Bring
would
him
love
back.
to have them all.
Because it's sad. And then also knowing the timing. When modern real time, they're like, oh, it's been 2 days. And then it's like, no, it's been months. Like it keeps
Oh, so
happening over
lonely.
and over. And like, yeah, makes me
Something I
sad.
just thought of. Elijah told Jacob to go run in and get the almanac
Oh
in the
yeah.
fire. But
Uh-huh.
what about the family history log?
I think that's what he meant.
Did he grab it though? Because he grabbed the thin pamphlet almanac for
Oh, good.
But
1814.
I think I want, and I could be wrong, correct somebody out there, correct me if I am wrong, but I think those almanacs were meant to have places where you fill that information in.
Don't they have a thick leather-bound book though
Well,
with
it's
pages?
put into one
Family
later
album.
to
Okay,
preserve it.
okay, okay.
Okay.
But where's the leather-bound book that has the names of every family member that we've seen since season 1? That didn't come out.
But
Does
no,
that
because
exist
the
yet?
leather bound, oh,
That's more recent, right? It's not
yeah,
like
I
from
thought that
that
was in
time.
modern times.
No,
It's
I thought it was like old and has stuff like a page of it was missing because Jacob ripped it out or whatever in the 1800s. And they knew a page was missing in the present day.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll go back and check it. We'll follow up on that. I'll put a
Mm-hmm.
note in here
Yeah. I have no
when I
idea.
find that.
You're right about the page being gone and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where's the book? All right. Well, we got 2 more episodes. Here's 2 more answers. More dramatic one-liners from Kat.
I
Less weird faces from Elliot.
starting
More,
to under see understanding Dell.
more really freshly dyed toupees.
Siren.
Less tears for Evie. More
And
good.
Alice. She's been crying so much.
That poor girl. We didn't even talk about her breakup, but we won't because it
Mm.
wasn't really that important. But the poor thing, she's great. But yeah.
More giving more story to Nick and hoping
Yeah.
that with him saying goodbye for now, it's we don't he's not gone for the rest of the season, I hope. I hope he comes back.
Yeah. I
All
hope
right.
so. We'll see.
Here's to a good last 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna be big.
Pop in the comments what theories you have. Are we on to something? Are we totally missing something? Let us know your thoughts.
We'll see.
Peace out.